Alright guys, welcome to your geometry class, KAP, which is our new terminology for pre-AP, or the more advanced placement mathematics course. My name is Mr. Allen, technically Mr. Allen Martinez. Mr. Allen is fine, whatever you want to call me, works for me. So yeah, it says fill out the info card. That's a lie because you're obviously not here in person, right? So don't worry about that. But yeah, I figured I would just give you like a little bit of a spiel about who I am real quick, not trying to waste your whole day with like, get it, we got it, next teacher, get it, got it, and we understand. But I do want to highlight a couple of key things and some ways that we're sort of going to run this class, at least for the first few weeks, and just kind of see how things go. So usually what I do at the beginning of the year is, they always do like 3 facts and a fib, 2 truths and a lie, and the teachers make you write these things and try to guess them. I personally hated those things as a student, and you may love them, it's okay. So usually on the first day of school, I try to flip that and basically go, if you're normally forced to do that, instead I will tell you 3 things about me that are true, 1 thing that's a lie, and see if you can kind of pick out which is which. So I'll step aside. First thing is that I quote the movie Mean Girls. The next thing is that I have 3 dogs. The next thing is I failed Algebra 1 in the 8th grade, and that I have over 1,000 Transformers toys. So I'm gonna give you, like 5 seconds or so. Like, think about it. 3 of those are real, 1 of them is not. See if you can imagine which it is. You got your guess locked in? All right, let's see what happened. Boom! And here are the answers. So I said 3 dogs. I actually only have 2. This little one, her name is Xena. The big one is named Aries. He's really old. He's like 14 already, and we love him dearly. And she's a little crazy. She's like 3 and like runs around like crazy dog. This is in my house. Like, I actually have a media room that is just floor to ceiling Transformers everywhere. So that is 100% factual. What else? Oh, do I quote the movie Mean Girls? Well, you might not know this movie, and it's okay if you don't. It's not that big a deal. It's no question it's going to show up on a test. But if you do know the movie, there's a quote that says, on Wednesdays, we wear blank, and the answer is pink. And so although today's not technically Wednesday, this video is your Wednesday video, so I made sure to have my pink socks on today. So there we go. And what that does mean is that the actual truth, because the lie was that I had 3 dogs, so I only had 2. So the truth is I really did fail Algebra 1 when I took it in the 8th grade. And you're like, whoa, should this guy be allowed to teach me math if he failed Algebra 1? Like, that doesn't make sense, right? I understand your concern. But it was one of those things, like the first 3 weeks, was it clicking? Was it getting it? They basically moved me down to the very remedial math class. But then I made like straight hundreds in it. And then the next year, I retook algebra as a 9th grader, straight hundreds in it. And they finally moved me back into the pre-AP courses. And I went all the way up, calculus, all that jazz. So I don't know what happened, but hey, we all have our different spots. Sometimes it's going to be our year. Sometimes it's like not our year just yet. It all comes to us at different paces. But yeah, I went on to study mathematics and engineering at the University of Houston. So at this point, I think I am very well qualified. But I also, just to be honest, I like to think that I have the ability to explain math at a very math level, and I also know how to kind of break it down to somebody that maybe struggles with it a little bit more. Because this class, you're going to have students who want to go to calculus and become a future engineer. If you're that student, you're going to come through this course. You also have students who go, hey, math is not really my thing, but I want to try a little bit more of a challenging course, and let's just see how far I get. Maybe I'll do Algebra 2 next year, but then maybe pre-cal, I'll say adios. So it just kind of depends on the person. But we do have different ability levels here, but do understand it's a fast-paced course. Of course, if you notice this, I'm still one of those weirdos that plays Pokemon Go. Shh, I know. And then I also enjoy studying foreign languages. Like, of course, I'm talking in English right now. I studied Spanish all through school and into college. Entonces, si tú puedes hablar español, también puedes hablar conmigo para que estoy siempre practicando, right? So I love to practice my Spanish. And then while I was in college, I actually took a year of Chinese. So I don't speak it as fluently as I do other languages, but it's kind of a cool language. And 要是你可以说中文 then you'll understand what I just said. Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's get on to some course information. Just like I said, I like to give you a little bit of it about me. So especially when we're online and you don't see me face to face, I'm trying to just give you my personality. And I tend to be a little extra and crazy. You'll either love that or it'll annoy you. And I'm sorry, but here's what you got. Hopefully it entertains you and it's a little better than the guy on the dry Clear Eyes commercial talking about adding numbers. Because if that's the videos we had to watch, next. So I got you. You probably can't see this. I'm just going to highlight some basic things I would like for you to have for this class, even though you're taking it at home. Definitely get some kind of notebook where you can take notes. We will give you printed notes that you're welcome to print if that's something you have access to. But normally during the school year, we do not provide notes. Like, it's all written down in a spiral. Like, you take down what you think is important. We'll then give you a completed notes with always available on Canvas, and you could go back and supplement and add in things that maybe you missed or wanted to make sure you didn't miss a detail. But I do often recommend that if you get a notebook that's actually like a graph paper notebook, because a lot of times we're going to want to be able to go off on the side and plot a graph. Ooh, what was that? Plot a graph in geometry, and that way you're just taking notes, you can do your graphs. It's whatever, it's your own organization, we're not going to grade that, but I do think that's something I would recommend to you. We will have a blank graph paper on the computer on Canvas you're welcome to print out, but I do think you'll waste a lot of ink doing that. It's probably to your advantage to just go get like a spiral of graph paper at some point that you'll use throughout the year. Otherwise, the textbook this year is going to be completely online. We'll give you some more details about that later. But the other two things that you're going to need are a compass and a protractor. Oh, I'm going to spell that wrong. Just protractor. Okay, so the compass is the one that kind of has a little stabby thing that you put the pencil on, and it helps you like kind of draw circles, okay? And then a protractor is that little, usually it looks like a half circle that helps you draw or read angles. So those are things that we're not going to need immediately, but maybe put on your list of things like when we do go to get some school supplies, that will be something helpful. Normally we have a class set, but I don't know what the rules are going to be if we do come back and we are not allowed to use a class set because of, touching things, or if we're still going to be at home the first time that we need to use them. So that's part of why we want you to have that. What's next? So just some reminders in geometry. So in a pre-AP advanced course, the homework type grades only count for 10%. So this class, we pretty much give you the answer keys to the homework the same day you're working on them. And you're like, what? I'm just going to cheat. Doesn't bother me any. Why? It's 10% of your grade. If you have no idea how to do this material, 90% is your quiz and test. So if you're like, woohoo, cheating on that homework, turn it in. Cheating on that homework, turn it in. Yeah, look at those hundreds in that grade book, yeah. And then you get to your test, it's like a 40. We know what you did. Okay, so my whole thing is with homework, the whole point of math is to practice it and then see if I'm correct, right? So you should have access to that so that you can then prepare your questions and go, okay, I cannot figure out number 5. I need you to talk to me about that. And if all I did was took your paper from you, went, check, thanks, Billy, and put it in a stack, that doesn't help you, right? So I want you to be aware there's a reason we do that, but also this is sort of a trust thing. We need you to learn how to use that tool and not just copy everything down. And I'll be honest with you because I believe in honesty. If I were a student who felt generally really, really fast about a certain topic that day, like, dude, I know how to do this, I would maybe just, let's say we gave you like 10 questions, do like 3 of them, like jump around, do ones that maybe look a little harder, and if you're getting the answers right, I'm not gonna be mad at you if you just go, okay, and copy the rest of the answers and submit it. But do yourself a favor and make sure you're doing enough problems that you know what you know and don't know, and that way you can ask for help on the things that you are struggling with. Okay, so just wanna point that out. Basically, a homework is going to pretty much be assigned daily. If we've learned something new, we're going to practice it, right? If we take a quiz, it's usually not a homework. If it's a test, we're not going to give you homework. No homework nights, no homework, okay? But generally, there is going to be something each day. We do require, even with this online experience, to have that due in by, I think we decided on 10 p.m. that school day, right? Because we really shouldn't be working on things up till midnight, but we also know that you might need to work on things in the evening depending on your schedule. Who knows? It might be midnight, we'll see. But for a 100% grade, you need to submit that assignment by midnight. And then if you don't get that in by midnight, as long as you turn it in at any point before the test date, so all of the first chapter stuff, if by that first chapter test, we'll still take it for a 70 as long as you get it done. And again, the answer keys are there. So if all you care about is filling it in and turning it in for a grade, you're welcome to do that. But again, don't get behind and make sure you are keeping up with stuff. I'll talk about a little bit more in just a minute. Actually, we'll go ahead and talk about it now. I'm trying to treat this course for right now as what's called a flipped classroom, which means we will not be opening up a Zoom call and having all the students log in at the same time and me come up to the board and try to teach you. We don't know if there's going to be connectivity issues when all of KDISD tries to get onto their second period class at the same time, the whole thing crashes, right? I do not want to mess up your education, or you're at home like, the power's out, or like things are going to happen. Like, we have to be aware of that. So we are going to do it like this. You will have a video. I'm going to try to keep them around that 10-minute mark so we're not wasting your whole class period. I will not speak to you in a 45-minute video. That is my promise to you, okay? But what I want to happen is, let's say your class time starts at 9:12 a.m. I'm just making up a time. I would love, if you're being super organized, that at your 9:12 time, you go into Canvas and you open up that video and start watching it. And then print the homework, or if you don't have access to a printer or don't want to print it on your own paper, just number the problems and work them out, okay? The idea is that I will make my Zoom during that time available. So if you want to just come in and like type in a quick question like, hey, I was looking at number 5, what's that? I can respond to it real quick. Where I think this will be most helpful won't actually be on the very first day of class. So if on the first day of class you want to log in, if it's working, and be like, hi, my name's Sandy and I like turtles, like, that's fine. Whatever you want to share with me, like, we can come on and you can say hi, but the Zoom call is not going to be a requirement. So my wish would be, let's say the next day of school, you already did your homework the previous day, you've checked it, you just can't figure out number 12, then you'll pop on that Zoom call and be like, hey, let's talk about number 12, and almost treat it as like a guaranteed tutorial time during your class period that I promise you I'll be available, whether it's just a quick chat or you just want to send me through a Canvas email. I can work something out, take a picture and send it back, whatever works for you. I just don't want you to feel like the Zoom calls are mandatory for my class. Okay, so that's kind of what I mean by flipped classroom. You're basically kind of working on your own, and during the class time is time for help on the stuff you've already been working on, help on the day's video. Like, you're like, okay, I watched your 10-minute video, I still have a question, so you pop on and ask it. And the goal is that you can get that all done during that time period that's scheduled for you. But at the same time, if you have other things going on in your day and you have to wait till 2 in the afternoon to get started on my class, you still have that option to jump on and do that at your time. Okay, so I know I'm talking a lot, and if you have questions about this, of course, let me know. But the goal is to actually, hopefully, make that feel easier for you than trying to log on and like hope everything's working. And if you don't get logged on at the right time, like you're missing something important, that's not what's going to happen. Okay. Quickly, I'm sure you're all going to see this, but in our pre-AP and even our academic classes for math, this is different for your other classes, but for mathematics, if you fail one of the 2, it's typically 2, but if it's 2 or 3 tests in a 6 weeks grading period, if you fail either one of them or if you fail both of them, there is a retest that covers the material of the entire 6 weeks that you can take to bring up one or the other maximum grade to a 70. So even if you only fail one test and not the other, the retest is still going to have information from both tests. If you pass both of them, you don't take this. It's just that it's like an optional if you failed thing. And the details of that are written down, but essentially if you failed, no matter what you make on the retest, as long as it's passing, that score will hit a 70. If you fail the retest, but you did better anyway, we'll go ahead and bump the score. But if for any reason you did worse, we just leave things where they are. Okay, but again, that's like the main thing about me. Again, my name is Mr. Allen, And yeah, look forward to working with you guys. If you are watching this video on the Wednesday day and you want to just kind of pop on and say hi during the Zoom call if that's working, I will be available to say hey to you. Otherwise, ignore the Zoom call completely and just jump onto your first video and see how things go. All right, guys, have a good one.